So I think it's up now. All right. Well, um, it's been an interesting day for some of us. Some people got some interesting surprises during the night, which we will not be named. But some of us are dealing with lack of sleep and pressing onward. But beyond that, just want to say hello to everyone and welcome everybody back for another week of High Fantasy Adventure. So, last we left off, you all underwent your mission from General Kale to disable a defensive tower guarding a massive teleportation archway large enough to take his armies directly into Aurora. You made your way down to this path of brambles leading to the defensive arcane tower. You used the flamethrower that was mounted on your giant scorpion's tail to clear away the thick brambles and other dangers of the undergrowth, as well as anything else that could lie within that threatened your only safe route to this arcane tower. Having cleared out the way, making the path safe, you approached the strange arcane tower. It was there that you found a noble Dao named Rizala, who you've discovered was chained to the monolith. There was a terrible scream that filled the air as the tower activated. Its arcane beam destroying a demon spawn out in the distance, but from the center of a glowing blue sphere where the arcane energy emanated from, you saw a unicorn that apparently was being tortured every time this tower activated, racking the creature in pain. As you attempted to strike the structure to dismantle it, the guardian of the tower itself emerged, a fiendish titan that had hundreds of arms filled with various weaponry, calling itself Uldrak the Many. A battle ensued as some of you were separated, working on the very tower itself and also freeing the unicorn within as well as the Tao, while the rest of you distracted Uldrak and basically taking his devastating onslaught firsthand. Faith used her Ring of the Ram to free the Tao and the unicorn, teleporting them to the arches as Barth, Willow, and Nyx battled with Uldrak. As the rest of you rushed to the fiendish arches that would have taken you to the city of Aurora, Willow was dominated by Uldrak's powerful magics and began attacking Nyx, eventually slaying Nyx with her bow and lance. Nyx's soul entered her phylactery of salvation, and as Willow touched the strange talisman, it burned her hand, leaving an imprint, but also shaking her free of the Titan's mind control. Willow took Nyx's body as the rest of you fled through the arches, leaving General Kill and Tiamat's armies behind. When you arrived in Aurora, most of the city was severed or in ruins, but you found yourselves near the Stardew Merchant Company's warehouse as the sound of cloven hooves approached from a nearby alley. A feminine voice rang out, warning you that you will approach no further. And that is where we're picking off today. So, in the ruins of the streets of Aurora, some of the various structures here, um, it's almost as if some of them were torn asunder. The buildings themselves thrown about in various places. The other parts of those buildings are nowhere near to be seen in the vicinity. You can only assume that they are scattered across Avernus or reside somewhere else in this hellscape. The most of the cobblestone road is still here, but there are bits that still have some of the blasted wastes that kind of pervade through. A lot of the wind assaulting your skins and senses, the sulfuric smells wafting by, and of course the wonderful random raining of meteors that strike the ground with thunderous impacts every now and then. Again, from the alleyways by the warehouse, you hear the voice cry out, "Who are you? And what are you doing with that creature? You'll answer me or feel my wrath."
Marth, tell her we're fearless landers coming back to report in.
Well, as she says, we were fearless landers. It doesn't really seem that the that organization is too operable at the moment. We're not particularly from here at the moment.
I am. This is my home.
Well, we've come in search of the Nymph's Rest, where some important thing where some important things are that we want to keep from very dangerous people.
We're on a mission from God.
I guess you could say that as well. Oh, your choice of words, Willow.
Explain your interest in the Nymph's Rest. Many of evil have tried to find that as of late, and threatened many lives around here searching for it. You will also unhand that creature this very instant.
Which creature? I mean,
I think you're talking about the unicorn, probably. Sounds like whoever's on the other end of this voice is not an evil being by nature, which is in itself strange that we encountered some of a more sensitive disposition since we're in hell and all that, kind of like ourselves.
Well, we're in the ruins of Aurora, so I'm assuming that whoever this is someone who was in Aurora at the time of its displacement.
Mr. Unicorn, could you tell them we're not holding you hostage?
So, exiting out of one of the alleyways by some of the two larger intact structures, you hear the hoofs approach, the clop, 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 but you also hear the bits of armor pieces just kind of clanking as they also move. The sounds of belts hitting various plates of metals, weapon straps, the familiar scraping of a shield or maybe even a weapon. As you see the silhouette of looks like a rider coming out of the alleyway, until you realize that it's not a rider at all. The rider is the horse, as
Another
they are,
goddamn centaur. What the fuck?
or in this case, a centaurus wearing metal full plate with a crimson cloak. It does kind of billow in some of these harsh winds as she exits the alleyways, and you can see there's some sort of symbol on it, but it's hard to look at it with it kind of flapping about and her facing you, and the symbol's kind of on the back end of it. But you see that she has a long sword that's sheathed, but she has a very large shield in one hand, a lance that appears to be made from some sort of modified blade with the phobal removed. That's the centerpiece of the blade removed. And she wears a metal half helmet where it just kind of covers everything from the top of her head down to the bridge of her nose, but leaving the lower half of the face, jaw, mouth open. And you can see her long kind of blonde hair just flow from the back of the helmet. I am Aaron, the protector of these estates. This is Lady Esmeralda's land, and all those who dwell here are under her protection, and by extension mine.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, this is your more of your realm of.
Wait, if that you work for Ezzy, that means you work for me. Go tell Big Sis I'm home.
Maybe that wasn't the best decision.
You're right.
She is casting a spell. Do y'all do anything in response?
That-
A reactionary
That's for all
response?
y'all who can counter it, I guess. Just in case you want to.
As a reaction, Nyx's body decays.
It's still on.
Exactly.
It's still dangling off the bone lance.
Exactly.
Like a marionette.
Look, it's been a really long day. I want to have a mental breakdown, but I'm still on the clock, ladies. So
Do you understand? Like, do you see the visual that this person is seeing?
Good job, Chris.
There's an armored being on what looks to be a nightmare, holding a bone lance with this small humanoid impaled upon it, lifeless, as you have in your possession something that looks like a unicorn with an small armed force in tow.
Right, so 90% of that's wrong. The nightmare's dead. I'm not holding the lance. We put that on men here, on Gordo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just a very upset dryad.
Now, I
That's still
understand-
funny shit,
What
though.
what did she say
God
her
dang
name
it, Chris, I
was?
swear.
Now Miss,
Aaron.
Aaron.
Servant of
No,
Esmeralda or whatever her name is.
well, as you can see, if you know anything about unicorns, you know that it wouldn't be with us if we had bad intentions. I'm sure we don't need to fight here. We can
Greetings,
work this
Miss.
out here.
I'm Menir Sarson. Pleasure to meet you.
Well, she finishes casting her spell, detecting good and evil, to see who may be telling the truth and who may be trying to fool her, as if maybe this may have not been the only time things have tried to impersonate other beings to gain access
Well,
or
yeah,
confidence.
Got transported to fucking hell. Of course, got to remain vigilant.
And since you have at least 3 fake creatures in your group that are pinging right now, you see her kind of ease up a little bit on the lance, and she approaches, still keeping a general distance of about 15 feet from your group. You are the first in a long while that seem to have some foundations of truth into who you might be.
Oh, well, I'm glad that, yeah, that we can. I'd be happy. I'm glad we can work something out here. We don't need to fight.
Speak for yourself. I love fighting.
Willow will take, flip through her amulet collection, settle on the family one, and kind of lean forward to hand it over. Look, just give this Lady Esmeralda or Hal, and they can vouch for our story. And we'd probably like to not stand out in the middle of this burning wasteland for too much longer. It's really hot.
And she puts out the point of her lance for you to put the family symbol on. And she takes a look at it and scrolling here. Looking at it, she puts it back on the tip of her lance and gives it back to you. Well, if you are a friend of the family, then do have some troubling news. Lady Esmeralda is not here at the moment, nor is her advisor Hal.
Where did she go now?
That's part of the trouble. She seems to be trying to glean some insight off of your troop here. And after sizing you up, she doesn't seem as on edge as she was moments ago. Follow me. There's a bit more you should know about the circumstance. It's a little more complicated. And she takes her lance and just kind of points it towards the alleyway, and you see her just looking up by some of the buildings, like she's looking for anybody else who may be around that maybe you weren't even aware existed. Come, hurry now. Before you're recognized or spotted by the many spies that lurk about these parts.
I got a lot of questions about that, but they can be asked at a different location.
Yes, it would best be to find somewhere relatively safe for the moment.
Alright, does anybody not go into the alleyway?
Before we go into the dark alleyway, I'm going to cast Divine Sense. Hey, I'm going to pop Divine Sense and look for... Because she's got a point. I'm just not going to automatically trust her.
All right. So, what was that 60 feet?
I'm pulling it up. So I always forget if it's 30 or 60.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't remember the range.
Celestial, fiend, undead within 60.
So, you you do pick up some pings, not in her direction, not in the alleyway, more of kind of towards some of your sides and behind you, where more of the darker ruins are, more of the dilapidated ruins look like they couldn't really support any form of life. Some of the rocky formations of the natural crevasses and some of the towering little mounds of like almost like short cliffs that rise out of the hellscape. But you're picking up fiends and undead. More precise, you're picking up about 18 of them in the mix. More specific breakdown would be 12 of those would be undead.
Yeah, we wanna get moving. I am detecting a lot of undead and a lot of fiends. That way and that way and that way.
Then I would suggest you hurry along this way.
And hurry we do.
Okay. So who's the first to enter, and who would be the last to enter in this conga line? Going down the alley.
We're worrying about fiends and undeads collapsing on us from behind. I guess I'll take rear guard.
And then Barth will go first then.
Oh,
I'd
excuse
be
me.
behind Barth.
Elodia? Men here?
Behind Celica then.
Say again?
I'll be behind Celica.
Okay. I don't know, Chris, your character's not here yet. Soon, but not yet.
Yep,
Gotcha.
I'll be up in there. I'll be if he's in the lead, I'll Minner join Barth in the lead.
Okay. So, as you are going down this alley with Willow being the last, Aaron is also by Willow, you know, kind of escorting behind, keeping the rest of you in front of her where she can keep eyes on you, but also you see her just kind of look over her shoulder, just again looking for any signs of unwanted attention from numerous unwanted visitors. And as you go down the alleyway here, very bits of rubbish and debris here. Nothing that you wouldn't expect to see normally throughout a city, but since it's, you know, kind of been transposed into another plane, it's actually somewhat cleaner than what you would expect. But there are bits of rubble and things here and there. Nothing that really impedes your movement, but you do have to kind of carefully move over, you know, a board or some fallen brick and bits of rubble that just kind of crunch under your feet as you move through the alley. Aaron will point out, around the corner on your right, it will be the second door on your left that we are going to go through. Knock 4 times.
Where the hell am I supposed to put Gordo?
Your beast is going to get us into more trouble than normally can afford, but we'll try to bring him in with the other survivors. But there may not be enough food for the beast. There's barely enough food for the survivors.
That's all right. Willow takes care of us.
Willow provides.
She do. Good berries is good shit.
So, going around the alleys as they kind of intersect in this T section, making the right, you see this is kind of like the back alley part of your family's warehouse, Willow. You recognize this part. This is where back in your younger days, you had a little mischief in these alleyways with some of the local populace, some of the workers, the ones that were a little nice to you, that didn't treat you too differently from what they would treat other workers. They recognized you as, being part of the family that runs the place, but you were always kind of warmly welcomed in some of their, little alley games that they play, dice and things like that. Where some of your other family members that visit, like your sister, would not be so welcomed. In fact, they would avoid her presence entirely.
Because she was far better and didn't lose all the family's money playing dice.
Well, you didn't gamble. You're just, just having fun. You're building rapport with, some of the workers and things, having conversations that normally some of your family members would not bother to have with them, the ones that were actually active with the business. Some of your other family members, like poor Rex, were out in other parts of the country, and they didn't really take too much of an active hand in the family business and the squabbling thereof for control. But as you get to the warehouse door, I believe, Barth, do you knock on the door?
Yeah, he knocks 4 times.
You hear some movement behind the door. And you see, like the top slide of the door kind of open up. Like it's, the door is mostly wood, but it has like iron banding on it. And the kind of it's not like a spy hole, but it's a little centerpiece that doesn't slide horizontally. It just kind of opens up almost like a mini window. And you see a little pair of eyes just kind of pop out and look at you and kind of careen by down the alley. And they see Aaron at the far back there, and one moment closes the spy hole, which for a moment you can kind of see inside with some of the barely lit candles that are in there. And you see some people that look half starved, tattered clothing on, sounds of some low weeping going on from inside. You hear some things scrape and move away from the door, and then some locks unbolt and things, various bars being removed before the door is opened. Before you, Barth, is a dwarf. Now, what's interesting about this dwarf is the first thing that you see is his hair. Doesn't have a haircut that you would normally see a dwarf have. Now, for the real world style of this, I don't know the actual name of this, but it's kind of that half shaved look. I think it's called a Skrillex style haircut.
What shade where?
Shaved
On the sides?
yeah, like one side is just
The top?
shaved to the stubble,
one side.
and the
I
rest
see.
is just kind of long and parted over
I
on
see.
the opposite side. I was not able to find an official name for that style, so the closest that somebody described it was a Skrillex style. But it's not just the style, it's the color. It is pink. And he has like these deep brown eyes. His skin is smooth and golden, almost like a coin might be. From what you can see with this kind of dirty, sooty white shirt, it's he does have quite an athletic build, so he's a worker of some sorts. Has a matching long beard, and from what you can tell from his shirt that's exposed, like with the sleeves, he's got some kind of scar on his right arm that is partially covered with a tattoo of Dwarven runes. Can you read Dwarven, Barth?
I actually can.
The runes on the arm translate into Moradin, guide me.
Alright then.
Aaron, more refugees?
Not exactly.
Oh, come on in. Just find any spots that you can sit down at. We're kind of full at the moment. Haven't been able to get some of the lots here to the rest. And he moves out the way and lets you enter in.
Alright, I guess he'll make his way inside.
And as you go inside, you see there are a few of the healthier looking survivors. Like they do have like crossbows, and they do have them kind of armed and looking around this kind of entry area. But if somebody were to seriously try to attack and infiltrate here, it would be problematic for the survivors. They don't look like a lot of them could put up a lot of a fight, and the ones that have some of the crossbows, you question their ability to actually use the devices. They don't look like fighters of any sort.
Not the type to sell my remaining weapons to.
No, not. I wouldn't think so, Willow.
Aaron, is there any luck or news about the others? And she just kind of pulls off her helmet, and you can see her sky blue eyes. And no, they were not on my patrol, and I could not find any evidence of their whereabouts. Hope we find them soon. We can't stay here much longer. These people, they need food. They need things we can't provide them here. This place was not meant to house these survivors. That's what the goddamn rest was for. I know. So, about our situation. Lady Esmeralda, a few days ago, was separated from us during an attack by the Blood God's forces. When we could not find her after a few days, Hal and Gizmo went out to search for her. They have not returned, and this would be the third day since their departure.
Wait, Gizmo? You mean the little gnomish lady with a big rail gun that she's gonna probably one day shoot me with.
You mean the steam rifle that shoots 10-inch railroad spikes as ammunition that she promised to use on you if you hurt Remy's heart, since you charmed him.
Well, the
Yeah,
good
that
news is
same
I didn't
exact
hurt his
little
heart.
gnomish wonder. Also the one that had the piece of knack metal. That little nugget.
Yeah. So how are y'all doing for water? I got some food. I mean, since you're staying in my family's place, it's only right that I provide as a good hostess, even if I wasn't here.
How many people are there, Dave?
By a rough count, about 20 to 25. And they're on. So the dwarf introduces himself. I'm Luke Hall. Sorry, this whole situation's got me flustered. We're on quarter rations here, and that's not going to be enough to last the next couple of days. This place was never meant to be a sanctuary for survivors. It was only meant to be a temporary staging area before they are taken to the Nymph's Rest.
Right, well, let's see. I've got 5 days of rations. If you kind of pull something out, plops it out. I've got 10 good berries. And if you got a big container, I've got as much water as you need.
I'll take out some of my ration, all of my rations as well.
All right, and he'll bring you over to like this long workbench, which you remember being used for doing the more delicate work on some of the weapons, like the personal etching for some of them, if they're being made for, like, let's say a nobleman's house or another kingdom. This is where they would actually put the emblems on, or things that would mark it for that company or for that house. That fine detail work. This table has long since been bare. Doesn't look like it's had some use in a good bit. In fact, the factory here, the warehouse, has seen much better days.
Poor Willow is just absolutely heartbroken as she looks around. Right after we did, send out the food, does anybody mind if I use my work table for a while? One last time.
Luke Hall just kind of shrugs. I mean, I don't see why you couldn't use the table, but what do you call it yours? Your... Why are there dryads here? Aren't you supposed to be in trees or something? And he's just kind of scratching his head.
It's a rather long story.
Ivy just kind of like puts a hand on his shoulder. Just it's a very long story, but part of the tree situation will be hopefully remedied soon enough. But we are here to help in the meantime, however we can. And she just kind of like smiles and just tries to be friendly.
Willow claps her on the back. Exactly, little sis. Good job.
Aaron just kind of... right. And you can actually see the emblem on the back of her cloak now. It's a very unique emblem. Not one that you're familiar with off the top of your head. The emblem looks like a golden chakram inside of a silver crescent moon shaped blade.
Can I attempt to rack my brain's history to see if I recognize that symbol?
You can make a religion check.
If it's religious and not historical, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, this is definitely religious.
Well, I definitely know it. That is the symbol of Tiamat. Wait, no, I've seen Tiamat lately. Barth, when did you get a symbol?
I didn't, Willow.
So anyway, about giving out that food. Okay. Well,
All right, so going back to everyone going through your rations and trying to give as much food and water as you can to these starving survivors. So over the next hour or so, if you want to take a short rest, you can during this process.
I will definitely take that short rest as I am bleeding out on the table.
Now, one of the survivors during this time, Chris, your new character, is one of the survivors in here as he hears the commotion coming in from the outside, which is not too unheard of. Aaron asked for some of the survivors to help wrangle in a large creature into the warehouse. And as they begin opening some of the doors to the warehouse to bring this elephant inside, this is where you see the rest of the group trying to bring rations and water to the various people here who are definitely starving and could definitely use the food. So during this hour rest while they're divvying out the food, how would you introduce yourself to these generous newcomers to the area? And how would you describe yourself to them?
So, about a 5'4" tall humanoid starts walking towards you. He has a wide brim hat, a bandana over his nose and mouth, hanging down his neck. Kind of a pinstripe undershirt with a heavy leather jacket, and same with his pants, just dark brown heavy leather going down into boots. He has a rather large, hefty gun at his side, and leather bandoliers filled with bullets going around his chest. The only thing you can really see of him are his eyes, wide and wild looking. He walks over to the group and just kind of watches for a bit in silence.
And for the rest of you, this is besides Aaron and Lukao, this is the only person that you've encountered in this warehouse that looks like they could defend themselves properly.
Something we can help you with?
I'll appear to be helping quite a bit. Thank you. What be y'all's plans? Or not?
Greetings there, Commissar Gaunt. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Sorry. Warhammer 40k, man.
He's more of a Karin the Betrayer type. I mean, never mind. Go ahead.
I'm on a mission from God. After I finish doing some work on this short sword.
We need to we need to get to the Nymph's Rest.
Need help?
Well, if you're offering, I don't think that we would turn down the offer. Turn down your offer.
Anything I can do to help y'all? He sizes up Willow, up and down. I ain't seen your type before.
Well, I mean, now you've seen two.
Mm.
I'm Willow, this is Ivy. And we're dryads. And she falls silent before she finishes the rest of that.
She does what? She falls down?
Silent.
Oh.
She does not keep going with, and we're the daughters of change.
Guess y'all can call me Duke.
But I don't know. You don't really look nobility. Can I call you Duck instead?
But aren't ducks an
Rather
anathema
you
for
didn't.
Willow?
I guess Duke will work.
I think it's the name Duke, not the title Duke. I guess that means that the guy who was titled Duke and named Duke would be called Duke, which is kind of funny.
Duke,
But,
Duke,
uh,
Dukington?
Question, Dave.
Go on.
Now that I've come to my senses, because I was like zoning out hardcore for a little bit. Does Menhir recognize the origin of the Royal Dow, or no?
I mean, you haven't really spoken to her much since, she was freed and came into this city with you.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Now that there's a period of rest on site, is her origin readily apparent or no?
That she's a Dow?
Yes.
Yeah, you kind of picked up that she was a royal Dow when you first spotted her. Like, it was one of the subtle things that Menhir picked up about her that the others did not.
Okay, so when it's convenient and it won't interfere with everybody else, Menhir would like to have a conversation with her. That's all I want to say.
Okay, so you
That's why he
approach
didn't do a lot.
Rosala, who is right now just kind of keeping away from most of the other survivors. A lot of them do stare at her, but she's just kind of keeping her arms folded, which does nothing really to hide some of her womanly features. And she's just kind of eyeing a lot of the people in the room, just keeping to herself for the most part. People try to offer her, like, food and water, and she's just kind of just waves her hand like, no.
All right, well, Menhir walks up to her when there's not anybody looking, and he'll drop to one knee and say, in Terran, because it's primordial dialect, Strength of the earth and all its bounty be upon you, my lady, and may your enemies rest underneath it. I am Menir Sarsen.
Her left eyebrow just kind of raises quizzically as she looks at you, responding also similarly in Terran. Sarsen, you are literally named Son of the Earth. He of Stone.
Well,
From whence do you hail?
that's a complicated story, ma'am. I'm from another dimension.
Aren't we all?
Well, another prime dimension, I mean.
So your family
Well,
fled to the Prime. Were they exiles?
No, I don't. My mother was of your peoples, but I did not know her. For she was taken back when I was a small boy. My father was a man.
Ah, so you're orphans, and you are of there's not really a nice word for this other than kind of like a half-blood, but theirs is more of like a muddied blood, which is basically that, dilution of the lineage. So, but essentially in Terran it translates to mud blood, but it just means half-breed. So, I see. Well, thank you for paying your respects. What is it that you seek from me?
A question, if you would. Do you know or have heard of one called the Diamond Princess? She smashes me in the head with a mallet. No.
That name is familiar to me. I have not met this Diamond Princess, but I know of the name.
Interesting. It's from the planet Earth, correct?
Yes, where I hailed from, and I will be returning to sooner than later. I have spent enough time in this plane.
How you plan on getting back, if you don't mind my asking?
Well, funny you should ask that. Because once I rest, now that I am freed from that infernal device, I'll be able to just transpose my being and shift back safely to the realm of Earth, which is more welcoming to me, my kind.
Well, if you're gone before we can speak again, I ask a boon of you. It's a minor one, but if you do encounter the Diamond Princess, tell her that her son sends his regards.
Well, seeing as how your traveling companions were responsible for my freedom, I see no reason why not to honor such a simple request.
You have my thanks, and if there's anything I can do for you, let me know.
And she just smiles. I'll let you know.
With your permission, I'll take my leave.
And she just nods and gestures with her hand that, there's no offense taken if you were to leave.
He gets up and walks away.
All right. Now, what Duke, is of the situation with Lady Esmeralda. You know of the group that went out to go look for her that has not come back. But you also know something else that's part of the bigger issue here. You know that the reason why these refugees have not been able to go to the Nymph's Rest is getting to the Nymph's Rest is not easy. It has been magically hidden by Gizmo to protect the majority of the other survivors that are currently hiding there.
Alright, do I know how to get there?
No, you do not know how to get there. You were hoping to be taken there with the next batch of survivors here to kind of see if you can be more help at the Nymph's Rest, or what Aaron seems to be doing is kind of patrolling some of the remains of the River Ward and kind of corralling survivors to this location where they then, once they have enough of them, take them to the Nymph's Rest where they're more secure. But that has been stopped since the latest attack by the Blood God's forces. Which you remember your own encounters from them. Not from this location.
Right.
From apparently they had a more massive attack than you realize. It wasn't just targeted at where you were last at, but also here and possibly other resistance or survivor outposts in Aurora.
So when are we planning on leaving with the next expedition?
Well, that's part of the problem that Aaron has been having here. Do you go up and ask her about this?
I'll go up to Aaron.
Yes. Duke, was it?
When are we gonna be leaving for Nymph's Rest?
Well, hard to say. We need to find some of those that went missing before we can journey over to the rest.
Where are they? Where were they?
Well, about a day or so before you came into our company, Lady Esmeralda, who owns this warehouse and helped organize some of the refugees and survivor outfits, she went missing during the attack by the Blood God's minions. We had sent a small group to try to find her, but they have also not returned. This is a problem on a few different levels. And this conversation is kind of happening off to the side of some of the survivors, but some of you can hear it, or at least potentially hear it. I'd like everybody to roll perception checks.
Oh, so Pass is not strong enough for it, damn it.
Yeah, I want to make sure you have a good chance of hearing this conversation. Now, if any of you like a monk that some other past players made that have like a passive 25 perception, you know, you'd be able to hear a flea farting, but you know. Was that your 19, Comey?
Yep.
Okay. It didn't show your name, so I'm guessing it's yours?
Yeah, it's still in that batch.
Okay. So, it's really just Faith and Barth who don't quite pick up on the conversation. Like, you hear people talking, other survivors and so forth. There's various little bits of conversation here, and you just don't, your ears just don't kind of pinpoint on this particular with some of the names that are being thrown about. The rest of you kind of start hearing talks about Esmeralda, the Nymph's Rest, and your ears just kind of like, what's going on? What's being talked about here? So, men here, Elodia and Willow, you all kind of hear this conversation between Duke and Aaron. So, the problem right now, I know where the Nymph's Rest is, but I can't take anyone there because of Lady Esmeralda's magics that are upon me. It prevents me from leaving a certain area around this place. I was sworn to protect it and those that dwell within it. Basically, she's described to you some sort of Gaius level magic that's been placed upon her to defend this place, the family holdings.
That seems rather unfortunate.
Quite. But while she can remove that and dismiss that from me, there is the other part of the gnome's magic that helps protect the rest from the many denizens of this realm. Again,
Right.
The part of the problem is she is missing, and I can't leave this place to find her.
I think I can manage something.
Well, if you can do anything to help, that would be great, as these people are on borrowed time if they stay here. The magics prevent me from intruding on the lady's private chambers as well as the gnomes. But maybe you can use something useful there. Otherwise, you'll have to go out and look for them beyond the remains of the River District.
He'll pull out his gun and flip open the revolver and take a look at it and flip it back in and spin it. I'm ready to go, but mayhap These newbies here, they look kind of scary. Maybe they could pull some of their weight before we take them to the Nymph's Rest.
Perhaps, if you think they can survive in this hellscape. Not many have been able to face the Blood God's forces and live.
Well, where'd you find them?
They kind of found me. They were wandering the street with that bulbous creature over there. She points to the elephant. They were making an awful bit of ruckus, and if I didn't investigate their presence here, I'm sure they would have drawn the Blood God's forces to this location.
Sounds to me if they're walking the streets with a bit of ruckus and they lived, then they can hold their own.
They don't seem
I'll
like
ask them.
they don't seem like the type that would just meander about the hell and just survive. Go talk to them, though. Let them know. You have my support.
I'll start walking back over. I'll nod and then start walking back over to Willow.
Who is still trying to do engraving work on
While
her family short
eavesdropping.
sword.
While dropping some eaves on this conversation. So it sounds like we need to rescue your sister, is what Bender's got from this. And he'll quietly say that to you right before the guy walks over here.
Yeah, but first we're gonna loot her room. And
Good
my room.
God. Well, what the hell?
What? She'd do the same thing to me. Like, she'd already be in there stealing my stuff. You know, I'm pretty
or
sure
putting
she'd
feces
already
under your
stolen my
pillow.
stuff.
You know, which has happened as a child more times than you can count.
You see, the trick was putting feces in a second pillow, because Ari expected the first pillow, went to go get a second one, and BAM! Shitty pillow.
That's the most disgusting thing I ever heard in my fucking life. What kind of siblings you got?
This kind that light Willow on fire for her birthday.
Ma'am.
We would be here all day discussing their wonderful natures. Yes, can I... Do you want me to go loot my sister's room now, or should we wait a little bit?
What?
Oh, right, sorry. Yes, what do you need?
There's this lady named Esmeralda.
Yep, exists,
Need to
okay.
find her, so
I am legally obligated to do so, per my paladin oath, that been struggling with today.
well, we need to find her so that we can get all these people and Aaron to the Nymph's Rest. I was gonna go, but I was hoping I can get y'all to pull your weight around here.
She kind of looks over at the pile of food, and oh yeah, I forgot. You're right. I'm sorry. Had to stock up your water.
He seems unbothered.
Well, I can only see that apparently, as much as it pains me to say this, I think Fat Boy needs to stay here with these folk because apparently he's like sticks out like a sore thumb, and in this place, where we
You
want
could say he sticks out like an elephant in a city.
Yeah, well, yeah. L, are you there?
Operation Dumbo.
Are you even there, L? Are you listening to this damn conversation, Barth?
He's close enough to hear your conversation.
Good God Almighty. The fat one needs to stay here because he draws too much attention. Normally, I like the attention because fighting ensues, but hell's kind of a different place.
And I hate to say this, men here, but I think Gordo might be the best fighter left here.
Say what?
I mean, look at them. These are the
Oh.
kind of people I sell weapons to just to take their money.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like,
the
he
hungry
could
lion
actually
hunts best,
protect
but
him
the
a little
starving
bit.
can't even pick up a sword.
No. I think she's saying that he can actually defend the helpless schmuckatellis if he stays here.
He can defend them better than they can defend themselves.
Yeah, that's probably true. That is probably true. All right, I'll go talk to Gordo and tell him to stay here. Protect these folk. All right, fat boy. You gotta stay here and protect these miserable wretches.
I keep thinking you're talking about me for a split second.
What? The fat boy thing?
Yeah.
What the hell? Gordo means fat boy, by the way.
I didn't know.
That's what it means. Just like Gorda means fat girl. So, yeah.
So remember, they make the
It's-
rock and roll world go round.
No, sir, that's fat bottomed girls. Make the rocket walk around. Anyway, so yeah, leave Gordo here for once. In hell. He'll be cooler once we're out of hell again, I'm sure.
All right.
So I've got about, I'd estimate about half my magic left. I'd say I'm good for one or two big fights out there, so let's go wild.
Right. Do we know where they were last seen? That would certainly help in our search.
According to the conversation we overheard, she disappeared in a certain spot. They sent people after her, and they also disappeared. So I'm assuming that means we know generally where they were. Would that be a solid conjecture there, Duke?
It'd definitely give us a place to start from at the very least.
Sounds like a good idea.
So, Faith is going to look over at the unicorn. So, would you be fine staying here? Since I doubt you would like to be in more danger.
And you hear this voice in your head. I am still weak from that infernal device. It'll take some time before I have all my abilities back. Right now, I'm not sure if I'm more helpful or more of a liability to the others in my weakened state.
Honestly, looking over them all, I think you're in a lot better of a state than they are. Just stay behind the elephant if something happens.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Make friends with Gordo. He'll keep you safe too.
I don't think the unicorn is speaking into your brain in here.
Oh damn! It was an afterthought on my part. Sorry, out of character and character voice.
Honestly, I kind of wish I could hand the unicorn a knife so that it could protect itself.
So, Willow, were you going
Got
to...
a knife attached to his forehead.
Willow, were you going to look at your old room or raid your sister's room?
Yep, come on, Ivy. I will take you. Let's take you around Big Sis's old house.
Okay, if you think that's best. So where are we going?
Before we go, hey, Aaron. I'm gonna go into the house for a little bit. You said.
Oh, this is just the
Esmeralda's room
warehouse.
is-
The main estate is not
Oh.
here.
That's right. It's not even connected, is it?
Nope. That doesn't mean that they don't have offices and private rooms and things, but this is the business part.
Yeah. Hey, Aaron. How safe is it between here and the main estate?
I would not know. The main estate has not been seen since the Sundering.
Is there a window? Is at least part of the main estate still? Because I realize I can't go loot a building that's not there anymore.
Well, I mean, you could still loot the other floors of the warehouse. Because remember, they have like the general floor areas. They have small little pocket areas in the warehouse. They had shelvings that used to be kind of general storage. They have like little offices that are kind of like on upper floors and little private areas above that.
All right, I got a plan. I'm gonna cast as a ritual detect magic. I'm gonna start sweeping through the places where I know things used to be stored, and I'm also gonna try to hunt down the fiscal records of what the hell they were doing that crashed the company business.
Well, what probably crashed it was, an ancient archmage probably invading the city, and then later the city being torn asunder and the remaining bits pulled into the first layer of hell. That probably did a damper on their business model.
Sounds like they weren't trying. I mean, what better place to make contracts than in hell?
Okay.
He has a point.
Well, I mean, people try to make bargains with you, and you ran away from any deals. Hell, you had money to pay for certain services, and you just went, nope, 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 nope.
Well, I didn't want to be abandoned, and look, the three Devilmen. I don't know. I just have a feeling that what I'd get wouldn't be what I'd want.
Okay, so you're using detect magic as you wander around the warehouse.
Birth will assist with that as well.
All right. So you both are looking for magic. Is anybody else assisting with that?
Elodia, let's go loot my former warehouse.
Okay, I'll go with Willow.
Okay, so Willow and Barth and Elodia are looking for things to loot here. Going through a lot of the upper floors, some of the senior offices, things like that, where business would be discussed, or talking to some of the warehouse foremen. You're not detecting anything magical there. You do see little bits of destroyed bits of paper. Not that it was intentionally burned, but just from probably the transposition of this building to this plane. the office was probably ransacked a bit for anything useful and has been left in its condition. You do pick up a fair bit of magic from behind one of the closed doors of the second floor offices. Scribbled on the door in kind of like almost like charcoal, it has Gizmo's Workshop.
Well, I think that's certainly a safe bet to start to investigate.
I'm gonna step back for a moment if you want to open that door.
Willow is so scared that gonna get shot in the face with a 10-inch rail spike.
All right. Well, Barth will go ahead and open the door.
Dexterity saving throw, Barth.
The door is locked.
Wow. Well, it appears to be locked.
Elodia, you're up.
Okay.
Search for traps first, Elodia. A tiny, small voice whispers in.
All right, so the lock clicks. You hear it disengage. What do you do?
Well, Barth will open the door then.
Grabbing the handle, you turn it, and then you kind of push inward here to open the door. As you do, you see a fairly messy, disheveled workshop. Various things in disarray here. There are bits of scrap metal that looks like they are either being torn apart or trying to be assembled into something. There's various tarps of things with various ungodly concoctions that you, just by the shapes of them, it's just, okay, I don't want to touch this. There's even blueprints kind of sitting around showing various constructions of things. Most interesting, where your detect magic is pinging the most, is by one of the larger workbenches on the far wall. There is above it this wall of like little hooks where you see these strange little like handheld devices just kind of hanging from them. They have a little handle and they have kind of like a flat square top to it that are just resting on the hooks. Each one of them has some sort of a label on them. There is one of them that is missing that's labeled.
What kind of magic is it?
Divination.
All right. And what's the one that's labeled? The one that's missing labeled as?
Well, the one that's the empty slot, and they're all seem to be names. Most of the names you don't recognize, you're not familiar with. However, there's a few that you are familiar with, such as Menhir, Hal, Willow, Striker, Barth, Senosha, Imri, and the empty slot is labeled Esmeralda. Now, the one that has Barth on it It kind of gives off a little chirp, and it shows this little tiny like dot in your general direction to the device. You see another one for Willows that does similar. Menhir's as well. But the one that is listed for Striker shows the dot moving towards the center of this device's kind of display with a faint beep.
Well, if I had to guess, these appear to be location devices of some sort, considering their divination magic and names. And the one that's missing.
We can use the
Yeah.
Hal one to find Hal.
Yes, and if he's with Gizmo, then that should at least lead us to them.
Wait, why is Remy's slowly beeping towards us?
Well, I'm sure you can probably figure that out, and we should probably leave soon. So, Barth will grab the ones labeled for for Hal and Senosha, and he'll hand the Hal one to Willow, and he'll pocket the Senosha one, and it's like, we should probably get out of here. And if that's the case,
Willow's gonna pocket the rest.
I'll take the rest. I have a bag of holding.
Are you taking just the familiar ones, or are you taking all of them? Because there's a lot of names you don't know on here. So
Just
you
the
don't know
ones that we
who they're
know?
tracking.
Take everything, Lily?
I'm gonna look for the leader of the Is Princess Kitsune on there?
No. No, she is not.
Let's start looking for the Landers. See if Lander leadership is still alive.
All right, make a investigation check for me.
Gonna boot my guidance. There's way too many names, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot of devices on here. There's probably about 100 of these things.
well, there's no need to take them all. We should probably just see if we can find Hal. And as I said, if that one's to be true, any gestures towards Remy's, we should probably leave soon. Unless we certainly don't want to bring these people any more trouble.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to Remy. So
Okay, so Hal's, Senosha's, and Remy's you're taking off.
and I'm taking Willow's. I'm not leaving that behind. Hey, here you go, Ivy. That way, if we ever get separated, you know how to find me.
Well, she's not with you. She's back with the
Yeah,
others.
it's just the three of us. We should.
I will be back. I'll let you guys finish this investigation. I've let somebody out of my view that I said I'm not letting out of my view.
All right, make a loud noise if, well, shit starts happening.
Okay, so with those 4 being taken there, do you do anything else in this room?
There doesn't appear to be anything else of note in here.
Make a perception check. See if there's
So,
anything else
I'll
that
be
may catch your eye in here. Or just confirm that there's nothing of value in here or of interest.
16.
The only thing that you kind of just, again, the magic stuff is all on that wall. The other trinkets and things that are on here look like for devices and mechanical things that way beyond your conception of what the hell this crazy gnome could have been building or taking apart or just fiddling with. You do kind of look over some of the various little papers and things that are on here, and one of the things that kind of catches your eye, though you're like, you can't really make out too much of the diagrams for it, the blueprints to it. From what it looks like at a cursory glance, it looks like the gnome was weaponizing the factory itself in some sort of manner. You see something that looks like a blueprint for a giant cannon.
Well, that seems interesting, but not particularly relevant at the moment. Perhaps we should go check Esmeralda's room.
Oh wait, I dropped something, guys. I'll catch up in a moment.
But you already left to go get
Yeah.
So I'm doubling back, go in there as I suddenly remembered something I should have been looking for. Like, I dropped something here, guys. I'll catch up in a bit.
All right. Well, we'll go check out Esmeralda's room, see if we can find anything, and then we should be then we should be going.
There's a red ore I'm going to be looking around for in here.
In the workshop?
Yeah, just because I don't know if she tucked it away somewhere. I'm
So,
ascertaining it is not left here.
So if you're looking for the knack metal,
Yep.
yeah, you're not picking it up here.
Oh, we detected as magic? Well, either way, if I'm not...
It
picking
was
up, I'm-
sensitive to it. That was one of the big properties of it is it was already very potent by itself raw, which was one half of the trick to it because you needed special things to even work the metal into something useful. But once you did that, if you had enchantments put onto it, it could not only receive a stronger magics to it, but enhance some of those magics far beyond normal thresholds. That's why it was so valuable and so feared. That's why the Nemesis was like sent fear through everybody because of what this armor could do, and each one of them was clad head to toe in it.
Right, so I make my U-turn, like, sorry guys, I dropped something in here. And I go, oh, wait a minute. Never mind, sorry, just make another loop right back around.
Okay, so as you go down to go check on your sister, Barth and Elodia go to looking for Esmeralda's kind of private area. Going through the various rooms, higher up still, you're not detecting any magic, but you do see an office area that looks like it's been converted to some sort of makeshift like residence. There's like bits of like sleeping bags and things as a bed. One of them a lot more cushioned than the other.
This looks like the place. Guess we'll look around for anything that could prove useful in finding them.
All right, make a investigation check.
Well, I don't find anything.
You're like going through various little boxes and bags that are up here. You're finding like extra bits of like clothing, bandages, a lot more of female clothing and wares than male ones, but you do find a few male ones. Very vibrant, kind of gold and earthy colors, basically ranging from like green to gold in there. But most of the things you find are just things that would be general hygiene and care. And that goes the same with you, Elodia. Nothing is really sticking out here other than two different people are staying in this chamber.
All right. Well, I think that at the very least, the tracker that we found should probably be sufficient, but it certainly didn't hurt. Well, as with our investigation up here done, he'll head back down to the ground floor.
Okay. So, Willow, you see Ivy there, just some of the younger survivors that are amazed that are still alive. She's kind of calming down, talking to some of the younger ones, telling strange fate stories to kind of cheer them up. A lot of the other survivors are just kind of not really keeping themselves, but just not trying to get in your way. Just they're just existing right now. Like they're tired, they're hungry, they're scared. They don't know what's going on. So that's what you're dealing with mainly here right now. What you're seeing with that.
Seeing all that, Willow's just going to kind of beam with pride and let her handle it and go back upstairs to help loot the room.
As you're going up the steps, you see Barth and Elodia coming down the other side of the steps. So you're kind of like at the base of the second floor one, and they're at the top coming down, and they seem more or less empty-handed.
Couldn't find anything in your sister's room. Your other sister.
Your other sister.
That's
Your-
fine.
your-
I
your
used to
family's
have
complicated.
I used to have a lot of sisters.
Complicated, Willow.
Used to being the operative word.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna go grab a family knickknack or something, just in case the worst happens.
All right. We'll meet you down there, and then we can head out. Try not to take too long.
Yeah, we'll go in there, just look around, and then realize that there's another bed in here. And man's clothing.
Yep, there's like two sleeping bags. One of the sleeping bags looks like it's been stuffed with extra padding, so it actually stands up like 4 inches from the floor, and the other one's like a standard sleeping bag.
Poor Hal, I would have given you at least a second layer. Yeah, I'll search in the sleeping bag, see if I can find any like trinkets or family portraits. See if Hal left a journal.
Alright, make an investigation check.
Boop the guidance. 19.
So, going through the cushion bag, you don't really find anything. It's very well kept, very as clean as it can be in here. Going through the other sleeping bag, you almost miss it as you're tracing your fingers across some of the lining, but where like the little pillow and the sleeping bag would be, you feel like a slight indent. And you brush your finger over it again, and there's something there. And you feel along kind of like the seams, and there's like a little hole there. And digging your finger in, just kind of hooking it under, feel something that's got mass, it's hard. You hook your finger around it, and you kind of work your way to pull the object out. Feels like a little ring. And as you pull the ring out, the ring itself is like a little golden ring made of, it's not a solid like band. It looks like two smaller golden like bands, almost like wires, that were threaded about to make, like 2 or 3 like loops. And at the top of these loops, where they would normally hold like diamonds, emeralds, and things, it has these 2 reddish stones of a very familiar metal that you recognize, that has been very finely worked to make look like a precious stone. But there's 2 of them.
Don't know if this is very elaborate wedding ring or part of some dark ritual. Either way,
Knowing your family's lineage and your luck,
it could be
both
both.
plus an unknown factor somewhere.
And it came out of the
We'll just throw in,
non-padded one.
correct, and we'll throw in a gypsy curse on top of that, free of charge.
As you do.
It's Willow luck.
And it's not radiating magic, right?
No. Nothing more than what the knack metal normally would radiate.
On one hand, I'm proud that he took some of these crafting lessons to heart. On the other hand, we're just going to hold on to this until we can
Hey, Will.
get some answers.
You're the one who got Hal's penis back.
I fucking forgot about that, and I hate. You know what? They were also the one that got it stabbed.
I also gave him my most precious sword and armor. And then, he kind of ditched me.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened.
See, what have we learned here? Never give a man back his penis. Say, never give him his sword plus additional swords. You just give him too much confidence.
It's fine. We're staying optimistic today. We can't have the mental breakdown until after we're off shift, and we gotta go save them. So I'll head on downstairs.
Okay, so going back downstairs, the rest of you see Willow just quietly make her way back down. Some of the survivors are being fed and being hydrated with the extra rations and materials that you brought. Duke still kind of patiently waiting.
All right, I'm done finding knickknacks.
All right then, we should. He'll go to the centaur woman,
Aaron.
Aaron. Yeah. So, where did you last see Gizmo and
Yes. Hal?
Hal?
He was being nice. He didn't want to say the name in front of Willow. That's what it was.
Sure. Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah. So, she down a couple blocks was where the surprise attack first started. We had to fall back. Luckily, not all the way back here, exposing our position, but they know we were in the vicinity. During the chaos, there's where Lady Esmeralda went missing. She was unaccounted for. We could not find her body, nor could we find any bits of remains or any evidence of her struggles. So if you want to just look there, that would be where you'd start.
Wait, no sign of a struggle? No burning buildings? No.
Well, a lot of the buildings already are kind of burnt and damaged, being, Avernus. So, but yeah, there was not a lot of. There was nothing showing like, she got stabbed and bled all over the place, and there was a trail of blood or anything. There was nothing. They couldn't find any traces of your sister.
And she went willingly, which means this is far more dangerous than I possibly could expect. Okay. I definitely could use some stress relief. Let's, are we all ready to go?
Well, that's where we'll start our search, and then he'll go over to Duke. If you wish to come with us, you're welcome to it.
I'll be coming along, of course.
All right. Well, if there's not any other preparations that anyone needs to do, we should head out.
Hey, Ivy, I got you something.
Oh, what is it, Sis?
Well, this lets you, find me if I ever get lost, okay? See, I think I'm that little dot there.
And she holds up the little handheld box, and it gives off like a little chirp as she holds it up by you, and she's just waving it by. Every time it passes by you, hear boop, 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 and she does it like 10 times before putting it away.
And I think you're ready for it, finally. Willa was going to pull out the sword that she was engraving.
And she kind of cocks her head to the side. What is this?
Well, it was my family, it was my first sword that my family gave me, and well, since things are dangerous down here, I'd feel safer if you at least had this with you.
Okay, but I can't.
Can't take it?
I don't think I could hurt somebody, Willow. I've already hurt enough people. I know you've told me that it wasn't me, it was somebody else, but I still feel the pain that I've caused and so many others. I don't think I could bring myself to physically harm another person intentionally.
Willow's gonna finally just break out into tears, hug her tight. You're a better dryad than me. Well, you don't have to ever draw it. It's just kind of more of a symbol.
Okay, and she'll take it and just kind of, strap the the sheath like on a little belt around her hip.
Willow's gonna have flashbacks to the last person she gave a sword to, and they're like, okay, let's just get going.
And then they left her and never came back.
Not to break up this moment, but that body you brought in, we have an issue with undead in these streets. We should probably burn it.
Nix.
Well, but if we burn it, then we can't bring her back to life and fix my issue.
Actually, about that, Faith is gonna pull out the phylactery. She's just gonna come back out of this. We don't need the body.
Wait, what?
You never let me speak, so I wasn't able to tell you this. I told them.
Wait a minute, so she's not like dead, she's just... Why didn't you say that when I was freaking out?
You wouldn't let me!
I was picturing them like grabbing each other, like pulling. I was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And then Faith grabs her back. You wouldn't let me.
Barth, I understand now. I understand.
Understand what?
Well, that's good at least. And he'll he's just standing there watching the spectacle. He's seen this before.
So Willow's gonna look down at the beeping dot of Remy and the rest of the Nemesis getting closer, and go, "Okay, well, let's get going."
He'll nod and start walking out the front door.
Because when this dot gets to here, we're gonna have a bad time.
This whole village is a bad time.
Don't you say that about my hometown.
Well,
It's my hometown too.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's get.
All right. So, before you leave the warehouse, is there anything else that you do at the warehouse? Keep in mind you've had one short rest over there, so mark that on your sheets. Restore your abilities for short rest and expend any hit dice that you would like to expend to heal up.
I will take 10 minutes at the tail end of it to give rousing tales of all the good memories Aerie had here. Give everybody temp HP.
how much temp HP?
18.
Cool.
And Ivy just kind of pats you on the back, and it'll be okay, Willow. We're doing the right thing, right? And we're going to where Mother wanted us to go, right?
Yep, and there's just a moment of hesitation as a little bit of doubt comes in and then pushed out. No, we're going to do what she wants and things will be all right. There'll be a change for the better.
And she just smiles and, all right, let's do it.
Yes, let's. We should be on our way.
All right. So, exiting the warehouse. Now, the alleys only go so far before you have to kind of go back into either the main streets or some of the more rocky, hilly, cliff-like terrain. Which would you try to pursue, or do you have your own other ideas?
I doubt the sewer system came with.
We're not going into the sewer system again. You remember what happened last time we went into the sewer system?
Which time?
The last time we went into the sewer system.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
can't
yes.
exactly hire off the landers again.
That's right. You met the unliving one under there. Poor Elodia got turned to stone with a mouthful of sewage.
Yeah, although I believe I remember we said we would never speak of that incident again. So let's make our way to the place where they were last seen.
We have to pick the route we're taking. I think maybe the more mountainous terrain might be easier. Well, actually, we don't have any way to fly. We don't have any feather fall if we get knocked off a high ground.
Could try to pass without trace, stealth through the whole thing.
So wait, there was the rocky terrain. What was our other?
The streets. So you can go back kind of like in the open streets or try to make your way through the rocky, elevated terrain. Or if you had a third option that, your own ideas, but those were the two obvious ones that your characters can see is going back to the remains of the streets of Aurora to reach your destination, or try to make use of the elevated rocky terrain to make your way over to that location. Or if you had your own idea to get there that was not part of A or B.
I'm fine going back through the streets. I mean, send a good message to all these undead not to mess with us.
I don't think undead are capable of independent thought, or at least low-level undead. Granted, I wouldn't really know.
Well, if they're not, then they go down easy. In burning holy fire.
All right then. Well, if you say so.
Anybody else have an opinion?
Lodia, Menhir, Faith, Duke.
Main streets it is, then it sounds like. All right. Then.
Charge down Main Street. Let's do this.
All right. So, and you're just walking down the main street?
I imagine we're, trying to be at least a little stealthy.
Are you? Because if you are, then we need some stealth rolls. Otherwise, you're just going to be walking down like the boys to the OK Corral down the middle of the street.
Yeah, let's merge the two plans. Let's try the pass without trace stealth, and when that doesn't work, then we beat some heads in.
All right. Do one of you two want to use Path Without Trace?
I'll use it.
Well,
All right, so you're gonna
let's
have
get
that.
stealthing.
Yep, plus 10 bonus, plus the other little caveat to being tracked. Now I know Duke is away for the moment, so I have to wait on their stealth. But everybody else can roll.
Sorry, I'm back.
Welcome back. Make a stealth check with a plus 10 bonus, please. Okay.
All right, that's a nat 1, baby.
Yeah, but it's got like.
Oh my goodness.
Oh dear.
Alodia and Willow have just murdered the group.
Well, mine's a 30.
Mine's a 22.
Mine's a 13.
All right,
Well, I guess I'm at 21.
Faith and Men here.
I think it'll roll. I have to wait a moment to find out if D&D Beyond likes me.
All right. Is the What Else Man here? He may have zoned out.
I believe he sounds like he's dead. Rick, you dead? Yep, he's dead, Jim.
Alright, so all that means is I'm going to attempt to try to run some checks with him. Or actually, we'll see how this goes without him. Because I don't feel right running his character without him. So we'll just have him with Ivy here. So that was 16, but you get a plus 10, so 26. All right. So out of this whole empty street, Willow and Alodia are the only two to find metal buckets, containers filled with various like metallic rocks and things that just clank when they hit them. They both start going into their song of sneaking. So they're being extremely stealthy right now. As you approach the area that was described, you can see the stone remains of a collapsed building, like a little half wall here. You see little bits of scratches on the wall from some unknown creatures, but at a cursory glance, that's really the only thing that seems to stand out here.
All right. Well, Willow, what is the which way is the tracker point?
Willow will pull out the beeper, but you'll pass it off and take a moment to go look at all those. Were they claw marks?
If these are claw marks, these whatever made them, make a make a Arcana check.
Well, the good news, the arcana, the nature, and the religion are all the same. 9.
Okay, so whatever made this, if this was by any kind of like creature, it would have to have some kind of large claw or hand. Otherwise, it doesn't look like it came from a refined weapon is about the best that you can guess from this. But whatever made this, it was a part of something. Like the creature itself or the entity itself is what made that. But it wasn't from like a sword slash or, an arrow or a glaive. It was nothing like that. It was nothing clean like that.
Hey, Duke. You've been around here for
Yeah.
a while, right?
More or less. Why?
You seen anything that could do that? Like, do you have
Take a
like
look.
really big wolverines?
Take a look.
All right. Make a Arcana check.
Five.
You have seen so many different things that could potentially have made this. There's not enough information from what you're seeing here to really gauge which one of the many horrors that dwell here that you've encountered, fiend or undead, that could make this.
Ain't no telling, really. The last safe house I was in got raided by vampires and ghosts.
Wait. Vampires and ghosts.
Yeah,
I
weren't much of a good time.
I feel Willow's about to scream. This is needed to know information.
I really want to watch Tremors again.
I need
Tremors
holy
is
water.
great.
Belt fed.
You broke into the wrong rec room. But either way, yeah, that was. They weren't vampires and ghosts last time I visited here, and wasn't exactly expecting that in the streets. Let's get going. Yeah.
The funny thing about Avernus is it's always a perpetual twilight with no sun.
Yeah, it's all cloudy every day.
It's like that
Yeah.
horror movie where they had the vampires in Alaska that could just go around and play for a month.
Oh yeah, that movie's terrible.
The premise was great, but yeah, the execution
Yeah.
on it was horrid. But anyway,
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and bonus action, get the shield floating, so I can get another holy weapon in hand.
all right, so you say the command word, and this shield of shimmering golden energy appears. You, which weapon are you drawing?
The club of broken bones.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a look around and see if I see any movement.
Make a perception check.
And that 20 for a 28.
We call that paranoia.
That's fair.
So you you don't see any movement, but you could have sworn you heard faint murmurs or whispers.
Get ready, everyone. Something's around us.
Oh.
I
Considering you're
don't see him, but I hear him.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I don't know too many vampires who would be crazy enough to attack a paladin in broad cloudlight.
Willow, sometimes do you know this thing called irony is?
Yeah, that's the new copper iron mix I had to make so I didn't burn my hands on it.
Sure.
Duke will
Let's go with that.
Duke will reach into a pack and pull out a ball that has string wrapped around it that's tied to his belt, and he'll say a command word, and it floats up, and gives off light, like the light spell.
Okay. So this orb, glowing light that he has tied to him, is hovering, giving off a bright concentration of light. As he's doing this, the tracker that you asked to check before you started ripping out all the extra weapons does give a beep, but the beep, the dot is not moving, and it looks like it's further up the road, probably a little ways by, if you had to gauge anything by the dot's positioning from the center of the device.
So I'm going to try to make sure I'm positioned, to block out viewing of the device. Like when you're at like an ATM, you kind of do that little hover.
Just kind of hands cupping the screen.
Because I'd rather not them know exactly where we're going if they're watching us.
Hey, y'all. I got to go.
All right, man. I hope everything's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll see y'all next
Sleep
week.
well.
Hopefully.
Yeah, rest well.
Be good.
Yeah.
See you, man.
Yeah, Menhir's player had to do an all-nighter, so he was trying his best to stay. We knew before we played that he may have to go because of that, so... All right, well, as I said, we'll just keep him on the sideline here. So...
He's on babysitting duty.
Yeah. So what is everybody doing here? We have Willow looking at the device, the tracker. We have the ball of light illuminating the area here.
Duke's hand is hovering over his revolver, and his eyes are twitching and shifting this way and that way.
All right. Well, I guess we'll make our way in the direction that the tracker's leading, while being prepared for ghost vampires.
So, as you continue down the road here, keeping an eye out for anything more unusual than, being trapped in Avernus, you start leaving some of the areas of the ruins of Aurora, at least this part of the district here that has been severed and, plopped in this region. You seem to be headed as the mountains and the rough terrain kind of opens up a bit. There's still various little crags of like fissures of fire and things that just kind of glow and light the landscape, but you see some things that hover out in the distance. Very large shapes. I would like everyone to make perception checks.
$14.
20.
17.
19.
Okay, so Duke and Elodia can make out a little bit more than everybody else can about these things here from the distance. So what you can see here, you see about 3 of them. And I have a picture here. I'm trying to load up if I can find it. Share this with everybody.
Oh no.
So, what you two can make out is what appears at cursory glance like a gigantic sack of wet, papery material floating high above the surface of Avernus. There's various angelic figures with feathery wings that look like they're stuck to the surface, almost like flies in amber. Their bodies kind of wiggling and struggling futilely underneath layers and layers of whatever this gunk is that this thing is made out of. What you do see is iron bands that are tethered from the bottom of these structures that lead hundreds of feet down to the hellscape below where they're anchored in. The tracker looks like it's pointing to the closest one here. So, what do y'all do?
This ain't good.
I don't know what that is, but it certainly doesn't look good.
Well, regrettably, we got to get up there.
I'll cover y'all. And
How
And-
high
and,
up is it?
The chains that tether to the very bottom of these things are easily 100 feet.
hey, Willow, you still have that broom, don't you?
Why, yes, I do. Alrighty, I guess we're gonna be funneling people up.
All right, I guess Barth's gonna take the lead, as he does.
I have a question, Dave.
Mhm.
Nearby buildings, how tall are they?
There are no nearby buildings. This is left
Any
the
structures at all?
No, this has left the ruins of Aurora, and you're going back into the hellscape. This is far out in the distance where you see these structures flying. Elodia and yours perception, you're able to make out more details than everybody else. They just see the vague shapes just kind of hovering. You're actually able to see all the angelic figures just kind of writhing in this massive gunk that's being anchored by these chains onto the surface of hell.
How thick are the chains then?
Probably about the size of a person.
Great,
So about-
that's exactly what I need to know.
So a link would probably be about between 5 and 6 feet.
All right, I'm good. I start marching forward.
Yeah.
Elodia, I'd like you to come up last, just because you can provide range support.
Okay.
All right, we'll advance on it until we get near the bottom, and then begin Operation Shuttle.
Okay, so making your way to the nearest one of these, the structures themselves take on more of an appearance of like a cocoon or a sort of a like an insect hive. But again, now the rest of you see the angelic figures just kind of writhing slowly, futilely against these things.
All right, just in, get them, and then get out. Nice, quiet. Try to ignore all the screaming.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course. All right, so you're a lot closer to one of these, and they do have again some of those flaming fissures, a lot of bones from decayed animals about, and other than the occasional meteor streaking from the skies, the fissures in that are the only like real light sources here, and of course the floating orb that Duke has kindly lifted up. So what is the plan? How do you want to proceed?
But chain has to connect into something.
Yes, the chains attached to these things, which there's about 2 or 3 chains per one of these little cocoons. And the cocoons themselves are, again, easily probably another 80 to 100 feet in height.
Do I see any like openings where we could get into whatever this thing is?
At the bottom of kind of near where some of the chains are at, there are various holes ranging anywhere from 10 to 15 feet.
We'll point one of them out and say, okay. I say we go in there.
It's a good day to die. And he starts walking up the chain.
You're climbing the chain.
I have slippers of spider climb.
Oh, okay. So yeah, then you would definitely be walking then at that point. So
You know, it looks like
Yeah.
he fits into that hive with those slippers.
He put the slippers inside his boots.
Okay, so we don't see the slippers then?
No, you see cowboy boots.
Is
And-
anyone else getting red flags from this? Anyone? No?
I mean,
None
you
of
are
you
in
guys?
hell. How many more red flags do you want?
I
I say, I think
but I
we're-
mean that's pretty basic magic. Even I can do that. And he's gonna cast spider climb, and
Cool, then you know what? If you're able to climb it, Faith is going to walk up behind
no,
Bard.
he's not actually
and
gonna use spider climb because
Okay, I was gonna
I
say
don't want-
Faith was gonna like ride on your shoulders.
All right, I will start the shuttle up and down.
For men here in Ivy who cannot spider climb and cannot fly and cannot teleport themselves.
yeah, I guess Barth will carry Faith up because she already fucking got on his shoulders.
Forced taxi.
Yeah.
Okay, and I do have a map for this. However, let me just so as you're shuttling and making your way up into this cocoon, the entrance on the underside, where one of the few heavy chains tether this thing, it is about 100 feet above the surface of Avernus. As you enter here, and I'm going to bring you onto the map here in just a moment. The interior here has more of that kind of clear, well, not clear, more of that amber-colored, sticky material. This is what makes up the walls here, the floor, the ceiling. It's almost like it's almost like honey, but it's rancid smelling. And there's various bits of discarded gear that accumulate on the interior here as soon as you come inside. It's among all this gory bits that have been expelled from probably prey that may have been taken into this thing. So with that, let me make sure that y'all can see the map here. I'm gonna do some.
I was gonna smell the honey and go, wait a minute. Bees? Are hell bees a thing? Oh gosh, are hell bees a thing?
I mean, they're not a thing.
At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised.
Question is, how big are the hell bees?
Is that a religion thing or nature to determine if hell bees are a thing?
Alright. So, let me get y'all in here. Now you should be on the kind of the middle left side of the map. And there's actually another thing here. Dynamic. Actually advanced. I'm going to say all players for this. This should illuminate here. And so you should have kind of two little viewpoints here. Should have a viewpoint kind of near the bottom center of the map. Just kind of gives you like a depth meter, if you will. And then you have where your actual tokens are. I do have to change the light on Duke's token because light spell. Full radius on this, including the dim light. Waiting for Beyond to give me the info I requested. Looks like 10. No. Okay, I don't care about the. So it's 2020. That's what I need to know. Can anybody not see their tokens?
It hasn't even finished loading in for me.
I can see
I
mine.
see my token.
Okay. Now, for those of you with dark vision, you should also have a thing for dark vision. It is set that it won't update until you drop your token if you move. Your group is more of by this bottom left hole here.
I have my light source, right?
Yeah, and I did put that on there on your token.
Thank you.
So it should be there. Those with natural dark vision, not from magic, not from like a spell effect that you have to turn on, should have that on by default. It's supposed to look gray when you have the dark vision on, though I have seen it sometimes when there's light sources in the same room or cell, that it'll colorize everything and just show you kind of like a bubble where the light source's dim light ends. So I don't know why it does that, but that is a known issue with this, so it can ruin immersion, I guess. But I did test this with Ivy, and it was working sort of with that, but sometimes it wasn't. So, and it was driving me up a freaking wall trying to figure out what was going on with that, and apparently it's a known issue.
Wait, Ivy is with us?
Yes.
Okay.
Min here is also technically with you. He's just kind of like in the background.
In spirit.
Yeah. So.
He's off stroking the deadliest bone in his body.
Anyway, so I know some of you said it was still loading. It may not be in high def yet, but sometimes it does load kind of like a blocky version of it, and then it'll try to sharpen up depending on your device. I do know that with the light on this, if you have the option for hardware acceleration on your browser, that helps tremendously for these things loading. Without it, it sucked for me as a DM, so I had to enable that just to get it to actually load and move tokens without any latency. So, and I'm not even using Fog of War with this, it's just the light blocking layers. Try to keep as little loading as possible. So, if anybody has any problems with this, how it looks, how it feels, performs, let me know after the session, and we'll discuss if we even want to do this again for the light blocking. I wanted to just try it as an experiment for today. So,
Gotcha.
with all that said, I know that was a lot. Again, you are in this area of the cocoon. You just went inside, and there's all this very gore and viscera from previous victims or prey, as well as a lot of their gear, and this sticky, messy, amber-like substance all over the place.
Well, I'm gonna go quietly check over near the corpse to see if I can identify anybody.
Well, it's not a whole body. This is more like intestines, or a piece of rotted meat, and maybe a piece of flesh. You might have part of a jawbone. It's not a whole body, it's just part of one.
Do I just see meat and fleshy stuff, or
Yeah, like, again, bits of meat, like bits of the meat of some creatures, bits of flayed flesh, but there's also things like parts of like satchels and things that maybe like a half chewed boot, you know, things that whatever took these things probably couldn't digest very well, and they just tossed it here.
hey, Lodia?
Yeah.
Do you want to go see if they got any cool stuff? I mean, sometimes it doesn't dissolve in the stomach.
Okay. Lead the way.
Well, I mean,
I think
gotta
Willow
stay here
wanted
with
you
Ivy.
to dig through the viscera
Okay,
and
moving
the
forward.
belongings. So, are you going to dig through the remains to try to see if you can find anything?
You know what? Yeah. Okay, I'll dig through the remains. If there's anything interesting.
Okay, so I'm going to need you to make 2 checks for me. One is the investigation check to see what, you find and how much you find. The other is actually going to be a stealth check, because moving through here and searching is not very quiet. And
Oh.
I need this to go to the right window here.
At least I was quiet.
Okay, well, I mean, it wasn't too bad. So at least that while you're kind of searching, you managed to find two little uh, vials of some kind of fluid, and that was from the various little backpacks and pouches that are half chewed and destroyed in this thing.
Okay. And then I'll just show Willow the vials and like, can you tell what it is?
It's a vial.
No, what's in it?
Fluid.
I'll just
I'm sorry.
give it to
Okay.
her.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have no. Wait, does Barth have identify?
No.
All right. Well, we'll figure out how to identify stuff when we get out of here.
Okay, and I'll just, I guess, pocket it.
It's like Willow could think it's like a potion of invisibility, and then she drinks it, and nope, that's a potion of cause serious wounds. Well, I'm just gonna lay here for a minute.
I could tell you all sorts of things that are in it, and there's a 0.001% chance I might guess correctly.
All right. Well, much like the holes that lead from the outside of this cocoon, those same three holes you can see kind of burrow up further into this structure, and it looked like they kind of snake a little bit, but more than wide enough to accommodate your sizes. It's almost as if something much larger than yourselves have made them to maneuver through this thing.
It's guess we're gonna have to keep shuttling people up.
I very much do not like the look of this place, despite the fact that I can't actually see it.
It's still loading for you?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right. Is it still loading for anybody else, out of curiosity?
Not me.
Nope.
Okay. Faith? Lodia?
I see it.
Okay.
I see the map.
Okay.
I think that's where we're supposed to be looking at, right?
I think it's just my computer
over
being
here.
retarded.
Yeah, and again, that could be browser setting with hardware acceleration is the easiest fix for this. But if it's going to cause too much problems for your system, Barth, then we'll talk about it more after the game. But I don't want to use something that's going to retract fun from somebody. So I want to make sure everything is enjoyable for everybody, not the majority and a few cannot. So on the plus side, these maps are not very complex with that, so I'll just be extra detailed with some of the descriptions for you, okay?
Okay.
So, another thing you can do too, if it's having problems loading on that, I don't know if it'll be easier if you can pull up the YouTube or the Twitch. That might help for you to at least see it if you want to do it that way. Otherwise, again, I can just be descriptive for you.
Yeah, I'll figure something out.
Okay, so now you can reach up to climb up to these holes. Now the question is, which hole are you climbing up?
You know what I say? Since you're already climbing up here, help us up, and we're going to climb up hole number 1.
Well, actually, that's hole number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hole number 7.
Which is kind of like a one if you turn it the wrong direction. You know what? We're going.
It's like 7 Up. You know, they had like you flip it around. You know, it was like L&D or something like that. They had that weird ad campaign. So, all right. So you're going there. So that's going to actually take you Yeah, so that's going to take you there. All right. And is everybody going through that one? Is everybody going through the same hole? I guess should be the question.
I hope so. This would be a real bad place to split the party.
Yeah, I'd like to go to the same hole as them.
Okay. I'm going to bunch your tokens up then just so I can kind of get everybody dragged at the same time. If Roll20 will cooperate. And it's thinking about it. So all right, so a couple of things here. Give me a moment to put these on the map. I gotta change the map view here.
LBs were a thing.
Worse. They're wasps, so they're even more assholey. So enjoy that. Anyway, on the plus side, you moving about within here. I need to get onto this one, my DM one, because that's the player one I just moved about. Oh, and I got to change your death meter real quick because you are no longer there. You are actually up here now. I tried to be creative with this. So, well, now this area, the first thing you see here, besides the wasps here, which I'll describe in a moment here, this level is more honeycombed with octagonal kind of cells, crafted by these quite large, fiendish-looking wasps with stingers the size of long swords. And from what it appears at just a cursory glance, as you kind of touch like that amber mucus that this place has kind of been made out of, a lot of this stuff probably was made from regurgitated bone and mulch and body fat and a few other things, maybe even coarse sand from Avernus's surface, which kind of makes a lot of the smell. However, the wasps here do not appear to have noticed you just yet. They seem to be working on some of the little cells here.
Oh, hey, it finally loaded. Cool.
Yeah, and you should be kind of more the upper left. I don't know if you can see the ping or if you can just see where the light's revealed for your token.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I would like everybody roll initiative first. Let me get the turn order up. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to have Ivy just go on whatever Willow's turn is.
So we get a surprise round. Am I understanding that right?
There's no such thing as surprise round. There's a surprise condition, which you could assume that the wasps have.
Well, I'm just making sure that we don't have it.
No,
Well,
you
I
do not
see
have the
them dead
surprise
ahead of me.
condition. So, yeah, you do not have the surprised condition.
I am surprised, not surprised.
Ah, interesting. And now this is where I'm hoping the links that I made in my notes actually pay off. It works ish. All right. Let me get this to the new one here. All right, so we got Faith, Barth, Elodia. Damn, look at Dukes. And did you roll that with the advantage?
No.
Okay, well, not that it really matters because you got a nat fucking 20, but remember, you got advantage on that.
I have so many abilities. That's right. There it is. Quick draw.
Yep. Yeah, that was one that during the Layla days that was constantly forgotten about. So let me put this in descending order here, and I'm also going to change this here. See if this will load. There we go. All right. Duke, it is your turn.
I lean over towards Faith. We fighting here?
What was that? I actually didn't catch that.
We fighting here?
I believe so. It would at least be best to get rid of these now.
Duke will flip out his gun and reload it and cocking the hammer back, and then taking two shots at this wasp.
Which one? I didn't see a ping. Is it the
I think the middle one.
Yeah, the middle one.
Okay. Is that you making the gunshots?
Yeah, I put together a soundboard.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Well, I just was playing an audio file for the combat music. I'm like, I don't remember there being random gunshots in the sound file. Okay. So go ahead and make your attack. Or attack.
As a bonus action, I'm gonna sniper's mark it with a grit point.
Okay.
I wanted to say it before I rolled.
Nope, that's fine. We'll
And
just
this is with
use that to mark it.
this will be with -5 for sharpshooter. Does an 18 hit?
So obviously the first one hit. However, the 18 seems to careen off the thick carapace of this creature. It just kind of like it hits it, but it doesn't crack or pierce it. And the gunfire just echoes in this cocoon chamber.
Okay, so it does 55 damage.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
And Duke will move over this way to get some cover.
All right. Is that in Duke's turn? As he quickly draws his gun,
Yep.
firing 2 quick hip shots while he moves to cover. And you see the first one just pierce right through the carapace. This like mustard yellow fluid just kind of splurts out of this creature as the wings flutter. It's like, and fires another one, but as its body kind of turns, it doesn't hit the same spot that was cracked. It hits one of the other hard chitinous parts of the carapace, and it just kind of blocks it like a piece of full plate armor. So, with that, we'll go on to Elodia.
Okay, so I'm gonna go for the farthest one right here. So I'm gonna 100 mark it and shoot it.
Okay. Now, because of that, your current location, unless you move, it will have a little bit of cover from that support piece of the cocoon here that's blocking some of your
Okay,
vision.
I'll move.
You've got sharpshooter.
Don't you have a sharpshooter?
That's true.
Ah,
And with the
okay.
sharpshooter,
Yeah, sharpshooter would negate that. Okay, and
Nope. No.
what's going on?
11 and 10.
I just saw the rolls pop up on my screen here. Yeah, no, both of them, as you fire off trying to hit this thing, you kind of slip in some of the jelly-like material that the floor is made out of, and that is enough to kind of careen your shots off to the side a little bit, hitting the wall.
And that ends my turn.
All right, Barth.
Alright, we're going to... With bonus action, we're gonna cast Shadow Blade, 3rd level. And it just crashed. Roll20 just crashed on me. Okay, cool.
It's all right. It's all right. Give it a moment here to load back in. Were you trying to use the rolls from your sheet in Roll20 or from Beyond?
In Roll20, I think it's just my computer had an aneurysm.
She's trying to ruin your fun, and we're not going to let that happen.
Yeah. Alright, well, he's going to, he's gonna go up to the corner of the middle hornet and fatal load.
I just moved you down one to the corner of the middle hornet. The one right next to where the two dots were at. It's right adjacent from where Willow is, so you're right next to Willow and the hornet.
Yeah.
You basically just moved 5 feet down.
Yeah. Oh. And then he's going to attack it.
All right. The Shadow Blade in hand. Crackling purple arcane energy from beyond the world. I see it popping up. 16 doesn't quite crack through the carapace, but the 27, however, was perfect, hitting right through where Duke's shot went and opened up. So you're just finding that nice opening and thrusting the blade in. For 19 psychic, very nice.
And then he's going to spend a superiority die to use Distracting Strike. So I get to roll superiority die. 2 extra damage, and whoever attacks that one next has advantage on their attack.
Okay. Let's put that as advantage with that. Yeah, that one doesn't look too well. Looks like between your shot and your stab and Duke's shot, it's not gonna be able to stand too much more punishment.
Alright, that's gonna be Birth's turn.
Speaking of punishment, Faith. What do you do? She's sizing up the room.
Well, since we're all just kind of... Actually, I see where I want to go. So I'm going to run over to the side where Lodia's shooting guns.
Okay. Don't shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, now
I'm going
shoot.
to stop over here, and I'm going to swing at the wasp with my blade.
Okay. So charging through, being very careful not to slip on the jelly-like floor. Take your glaive and swing out. And you crack the shell. I see the rage damage. Very nice. So the glaive comes careening overhead, just hits this thing right in between like the two pairs of wings that it has, hitting it right in the center of the back. And I see some divine fury being channeled. I like it.
And then she is going to swing again.
Okay. Wings just kind of flutter, the legs kick. As it's writhing about from that first impact, it wiggles enough where your glaive just kind of misses the target and doesn't really get good penetration on it. It doesn't feel like it actually hurt this thing.
Well, that'll be my turn.
All right. So we're going to go over to Willow. Gotta remember to keep telling people when they're on deck. It's okay, we're going to have another turn to do that.
Gonna scooch right through you, Barth, so...
Pardon me, pardon me.
Alright, so let's see if we can get rid of this little bugger here. Oh, that advantage paid off.
All right, well, yeah, that paid off because after you connect with the Holy Avenger onto this wasp, the body just thrashes and gyrates as you stab the blade of the Holy Avenger into it. After a moment, it quits wiggling and moving entirely as you pull the blade out. All this yellow splatter just comes out, splattering about a good foot or so.
Well, let's keep the dance going. Play with number 2. Oops, did not mean to roll with advantage. 15.
15 is not going to be enough for it. Its carapace is pretty tough, so the 15 is not going to really beat its 19 AC.
So what you're saying is I need to break it with a club.
I mean, if you think it has bones. I mean, these are insects, so...
Well, that's a lot of disappointment across the board. That ends it for me.
Okay. Now, because they were surprised with that, they don't really get to do anything here with that condition. However, the condition leaves them going back up to the top of the order to Duke.
Okay, Duke raises his gun at the one that Willow was fighting.
Mm-hmm. And they are no longer surprised.
He focuses down the barrel and spends 3 grit points for a dead shot. I'm going to be using my radiant ammunition and sharpshooter. Oh, and as a bonus action, I'm moving from the now dead wasp to this one.
Fair, very fair. Let me tag that there.
I'm gonna spend a luck point. I took the lucky feat.
Okay. Yeah, there's so many almost hits.
19.
That 19 will hit.
Okay. So let's get the damage. Okay, so that's that. And then we need Sniper's Mark, Cheap Shot. So that's going to be 49. 59. 68 damage.
It's still kicking. I've already subtracted the damage with that, but it's still kicking. A lot of splatter going off here. However, something else happens when you make that shot. So, as the bullet goes into this thing, through this thing, and into the wall, you see inside the wall's like jelly casing, this body, this angelic body, just kind of pour out. By the looks of the flesh on it, this thing is probably long since dead. But you start to see movement through the part of the light wrappings that are on its body from one of the clothing it had and when it was alive. And then you see like the flesh kind of, the rotting flesh kind of bubble up and explode as 9 of these larva-like grubs come out of the chest cavity there.
I didn't mean it.
I'm sorry. Okay, and I need to add them on here too. Add a turn. And gotta get to my sheet so I can quickly pull up their stats. So I can get the roll. Okay, you need to be on my other page here. That's what I needed. Okay, so that should be rolling here. Wow. Okay. Fast little buggers. Holy crap. And since we still have Duke at the top of the order here. Alright. So, but yeah, that wasp is very badly hurt. But now you have all this larvae just wiggling around.
Duke will run up and hide behind Faith.
Wait, don't you have another shot left?
Deadeye takes an action.
Yeah.
Ah.
It forgoes
Deadshot
that.
takes an action. Yeah.
That's why he pumps up some of the damage with that. Yeah, Chris very quickly discovered why Remy was able to do the damage that he could do.
Comey pointed it out, actually. I can't take it. I can't
full
can't
credit?
take, yeah.
It's alright. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. With that said, if that ends your turn, the babies will go. And we have Ivy, Barth, Willow, and oh god. see. So that one's going to move there. That one's going to move there. Yeah, they're going to have to move around. So these things start going by this pillar here and begin to kind of climb up on it and go around here, making their way back over here. Now,
Are they close enough to take attacks of opportunity?
No, they, with the other larvae that's right next to you, they had to climb up high to get around, so that's why it ate all their movement. Otherwise,
Gotcha.
they would have been going towards Faith. She looks very delicious. So, Ivy's going to get one attack on her, and Barth and Willow... actually, hang on. It's going to be 2... So it's going to be 3 on Willow, 2 on Barth, and 2 on Ivy.
Remember, the attacks against me are at disadvantage.
Thank you for the reminder on that. I'm going to get something on your token with that.
Technically, it's at disadvantage until I get hit the first time, and then it goes away until my turn. That's technically how Cloak of Displacement works.
Fair enough. Let me see if the shortcut button is actually going to freaking work. As they try to bite you. Natural 1! Now, that was on you, Barth. Second attack on Barth. I don't believe... yeah, that's not even double digits on you, Barth. So, let's take a look at Ivy's here. Let's get her 2 out of the way. That one will hit her. And... Jesus, that one hit her.
Well, that'll be the last thing that first one ever does.
Okay,
I'm
well...
gonna burn a reaction to...
So between the two of them, she's taking 10 points of piercing damage. But the first one that hit her, you're making it make a saving throw?
Yeah, you just make a wisdom saving throw
Yes.
or take the damage.
I don't think it made it 12, I believe, is lower than the DC on that for you.
Yep, it's taking its damage.
Well, on the plus side, that was enough to actually kill itself. However, she needs to make a Constitution saving throw twice. Whoop. Wow. Okay. So, the first one succeeded, the second one did not. And so that still counts as... Okay, so... And she's got the temporary hit points, thankfully. So between both of those and the extra damage here that thing hit... Okay, so you see Ivy just kind of sees up and, like, she just kind of, like, stands paralyzed in place. She takes a total of, between all the bites and the additional effects here, 24 points of damage. So she actually is only going to take 4 extra here. So she's still kicking. And now for Willow. I know Willow is shaking in her boots. think these things need a nat 20 to hit Willow. Yeah, not double digits. Good double digits, but not nothing over 20.
Yeah, they're not getting through her armor.
All right, and the other one's already moved, so that ends their turn. Elodia, you are up.
Okay, I'm gonna go for the one that's badly injured.
Okay,
See if I'll be able to hit it.
sure.
19?
19 is going to hit. That is its armor class exactly. So, and you do get extra damage on this as well, because they are fiends. Well, fiendish, but... So... Ooh. Alright, it is barely standing from that.
Wait, did you add your Colossus to it? Because it's already hurt?
Yeah, I rolled another d8, so it's an
Gotcha.
extra 6. Does that include the Dave?
Yeah, that's included, and it's barely standing.
Okay, I have one more shot.
That feels bad.
Take my inspiration.
You can roll at advantage with that.
22?
That will finish it off as the first arrow finds that big opening that was made into it. And not wanting to be outdone by Duke, fire again and split the arrow that's already been pierced inside of it, puncturing the first one even further into it as it pierces all the way through this creature, sticking out the other side like shish kebab.
Okay, and that ends my turn.
All right, now we move to Barth.
All right. Well, I think what we're gonna do is
I don't suppose you have an AoE, do you?
Fireball.
Because I regrettably took the wrong spirit ability, and it was not Spirit Guardians.
ouch. It's a shame I don't have Shatter anymore.
Well, I guess Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, that's my thinking. If it will...
Give it a moment, it's processing. Even when we didn't have dynamic, that was slow to process for
Well,
whatever reason.
it reloaded the fucking page for me. So, I gotta wait for it to load again.
Give it a moment here. So, Willow, you're on deck.
Yeah, I figure Barth is clearing south, I'm clearing north.
Alright, what we're gonna do... Alright, well, what we're gonna do is... We're gonna stab at the one directly below me. Below
Okay.
Barth.
Take your Shadow Blade, swing down, connects to this grub larvae's body, which is much softer than the wasps themselves. And the blade has no trouble not only piercing through it, but cutting through it as well, splitting it open like the most disgusting cannoli you've ever seen.
That's not a mental image I want to know. So he's going to.
You ever seen that video of Bear Grylls biting into that wood grub? That big green wiggling grub, and he bit into it and like all that yellow mucus and stuff. That's what just came out of this.
You know, it certainly doesn't help that my fucking mouse is not working very well either. It's great.
It's all right. Again, we'll work on this. We'll discuss more of this after the session. You know, for future stuff with this, because again, we want to make sure that you're not having any issues. So. I know constant crashing is not fun.
Alright, he's going to carefully step. I don't know why that was what it decided to click on, but okay. Well, he's going to carefully step over the first one and attack the one below it.
19 is going to hit, and 25 is going to be more than enough to make another grub splatter. I guess you're making your own grub hub now.
Apparently. And with that, that's going to be Barth's turn.
Okay. So disgusting the floor right now. Barth, not Barth, Willow, you are up, and Faith, you are on deck.
I am cutting straight north.
Yeah, Ivy still has not moved.
I am going to keep trying to cut straight north.
And cut you shall with that. Holy Avenger cleaves this poor little grub into bits. More like chunky salsa at the moment.
I will provoke as I'm moving up.
Okay. And not that it has a big chance to hit you. It does not.
I will club the one to my right.
Okay. And now this one is very akin to the Bear Grylls incident, as the eye of it, by where the little mouth pincers are, just kind of squishes out, and you see all those lovely juices and things just kind of drip down that little hole now.
Well, regrettably, I can't make the last one meet its maker, so Faith, you're up.
Okay, Faith, you are up, and the Hell Wasps are on deck.
Alright, I'm gonna swing at that giant wasp again.
Alrighty. 22 is going to connect. Glaive pierces the shell.
It's still standing, right?
Yes, it is still standing. It's wounded. You can tell it's badly wounded, but it still has a lot of fight in it too.
Alright, I'll swing again.
$16 is not enough to penetrate or find the weak spot that you just created into its carapace there.
Alright, that'll be my turn then.
All right. With that, Wasp is up. And with that, it is going to... I mean, you're the closest one there, so it's just going to try to hit you there. So it's going to try to sting you, and it, with the little legs that it has these little sword-like talons that it's also trying to smack you with here. So, since the shortcuts are actually working for this thing, I'm going to attempt to take advantage of this. First, the stinger. I believe a 26 hits you.
Yeah?
Okay, so that is going to be 7 points of piercing damage. However, as the stinger pierces you, you feel it burn, literally like fire, as it feels like it's superheated. And it deals 8 points of fire damage to you. But I do need you to make a Constitution saving throw. All right, so even though the stinger is kind of superheated, almost cauterizing some of the wound, you do feel the familiar other burning sensation of poison running through your body. You do kind of fight at least this dosage of it, so you're not too worried about that, other than the fact that this spear-sized stinger just pierced your abdomen. Now for the sword-like talons that it's swinging at you, that is not going to even close to connecting, as a 10 does not hit your armor class. It is, in fact, enough for you to kind of block and parry and push away with your glaive, especially after getting hit with that stinger. So you just got that adrenaline running through you. And that's going to end that creature's turn, and it is the last one there, so there's no others to make attacks. Duke, you are up top of the order, and the larvae are on deck.
Let me check something. Alright, I'm gonna try something crazy. I'm gonna shift around here.
It's okay, you can shoot through Willow.
And
she won't mind.
I'm gonna activate Deadeye and spend 3 grit points. I'm gonna be attacking this grub, this grub, and this grub. No sharpshooter, just straight
Straight up.
shots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hammer cocks back. First shot is going to connect.
And this last one will have the cheap shot damage.
Is that the one by Barth?
This one. I went from right to left. So the
Gotcha,
first
okay.
one,
Gotcha. No, that's fine.
the first one took 30 damage, 8 of it radiant.
Yep.
The second took 25 damage, 5 of it radiant. The third one took 47 damage, 7 of it radiant.
So you see Duke come out, aim his revolver, then pow, pow, and just taking a slightly longer pause, maybe about a half a second or so, pow, and you see the heads of these larvae just explode everywhere.
I get 3 grit points, right, for bringing them down to 0.
For killing them, yeah.
Sweet.
And you also get it for those other things for your class as well.
Other things?
Yeah, when you look at your class, this doesn't activate here with that for killing an enemy.
Oh, I was talking about like this exact instance.
Ah, okay, yeah. Just you have a lot more ways to get grit.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So grubs are gone. Does that end Duke's turn? So
That
one more
does
grub
end
left,
Duke's turn.
and one more wasp left. Okay, so the remaining grub here is going to move over to Faith since she's closest, and that was the one she was going for anyway. It's going to attempt. Ooh. Yeah, 22 does hit you. So it's going to be 4 points of piercing damage as the larva just bites into you, Faith. Like, you just feel it bite your lower leg. However, you do feel some venom coming into you. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw. Which you succeed, so you avoid taking that. All right. And you also felt like your muscles start to kind of tighten up a bit, almost like lose feeling. But you kind of fought it off, just all the adrenaline going through your body. And that ends the grub's turn. It only has one attack. Elodia, you're up, and Barth, you are on deck.
Okay. Going for the one right here. $17.
17's not going to be enough to hit its... no, this is the wasp, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's 17 and a 16.
17 and 16, so
Yeah,
that's
it's
a no.
19 AC, so it's not quite enough. You're hitting some of the still armored parts of this thing, so you're having a tough time getting your arrows to pierce it.
Got.
All right, do you stay where you're at?
Yes.
Okay, and is that going to end your turn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Barth, you're up, and Willow, you are on deck.
All right. Barth is gonna.
If you want, you can tell me where you want to move your token to, and I can move that to help you with some of the clicks.
All right. Barth's going to move to. Yeah.
Okay.
Then he's going to.
Oh shit, Barth's going to try to end some lives here.
He's going to slash at the grub.
18 is going to hit. 18 psychic damage. That grub didn't have much of a chance as the Shadow Blade pierces it from behind after it bit Faith's leg. Nothing but open opportunities there, and the grub is sliced open.
And then his next attack's against the hornet.
Okay. .23 is going to hit, and that's 18 psychic. If I can get the hornet up here, there we go. Okay.
All right, he's gonna spend another superiority die to use distracting strike again. So for 8 extra damage,
Very nice.
and the next attack against it has advantage. So that's Barth's turn.
All right, Willow, you are up.
Dr. Willow is going to make a gamble. She's going to touch Ivy and pump 5 points and hope it's a poison.
Okay. You lay your hands on your sister that's frozen from face contorted in pain, and her body's just kind of locked in place. Your hands glow ambient, like light blue light as it pierces, the light just kind of pierces into her skin. And you see it kind of cascade through the nearby areas where your fingers are at, till eventually it just kind of fades just from passing through all that tissue. And you see Ivy start to move again and just kind of blink and look at you. Ow! I don't like those things.
Yeah, I don't like these things either.
Ew, sis, you're covered in yellow goo. And she's like trying to clean it off of you.
It's just like in that book.
No, Willow.
Fuck's sake.
Bad.
That ends my turn.
Okay, Faith, you're up. Hell Wasp is on deck.
Alright, you know what? One sec, let me look at something.
Now you get advantage on your first attack on it.
Alright, I'll swing.
Swing, bada bada swing. Glaive. In Faith's raging hands, the muscles taut. See what she does. 28 is definitely going to hit, and ooh, that. While it is still moving, it is barely doing so. It could not withstand another blow that mighty.
Does the Divine Fury kill it?
Actually, yes, that does. That popped up late for me. So, yeah. Do you want to tell us what happens next on that final blow?
So she twirls the glaive in her hand, sweeping it to the side towards the wasp's head. As she cleaves, or as the glaive goes halfway into the head, bisecting it just a little bit, as then the divine energy pulses out, allowing her to just cleanly finish severing it.
And there is so much disgusting hell insect larva insides just covering the bottom of this cocoon. Some of it flowing down those openings into the lower level. Y'all hear a voice shout, Who's there? Help! Help!
Hal, is that you?
The cries for help came from over here.
All right, so everybody be careful of the walls, these angelic corpses, and
What is the what is the
I throw myself down the pit because it is a better fate than if I continued going around that corner. I caught one glimpse, and you know what? I'll get her down, guys. Hey, Gizmo.
You! What? Get me out of this thing! And you can see her, she's like gunked up into that amber-like gel. Like her arms and hands are kind of inside of it. You can see where she's been scratched up and forcefully put into this thing. Probably to be a host for some of the larva eggs, or maybe even food for the larva. But yeah, she's gummed in there pretty good in that regurgitated bile that makes up this nest.
Hey, Faith,
Yes.
I need you to get somebody out of the wall.
Okay, I guess I can do that. So Faith is gonna turn the corner and look up. Ah.
And you see this little
How
gnome.
how much higher up is they? Or are they?
She's about face level with you. She's a few feet off the ground herself, and she's only about 2.5 feet in height.
So as she's starting to pry Gizmo off the wall, so Willow, are you not able to do this yourself? I'm pretty sure you're just as physically strong as I am.
Faith, make a athletics check. This stuff is pretty strong.
One second, I need to look through all of my features to see if I actually get advantage in this in any way.
I mean, because you're raging, you would. But at the end of this round, you'd lose a rage unless you have an ability to let you keep that when not making attacks or being attacked.
Will I punch you in the face? So I get advantage since I'm raging, right?
Yes, on strength athletics checks, which is what you're going to need to make to free her.
Do I need to be punched by Willow in the face to make another attempt at this?
Nope. 20 is exactly what you needed to rip that little gnome free from the gummed prison that she was in that little sticky amber. As she gets pulled out. Damn those things! How many of them are here? I heard some gunfire. Somebody has a black powder weapon?
Might be me.
He only
Who's
has
me?
one.
And she's like still standing in front of Faith over there.
He flips out the 6 chamber from the revolver and drops the shells and reloads.
I'm going to give you an extra inspiration point just because you went above and board the soundboard. So
It was fun learning how to do it. I actually did some sound editing too to get the amount of times that I wanted it to repeat.
she's kind of looking around. Did you find Hal or Esmeralda?
That's
You're
what
the
we're here
first
for.
one we've found.
Blast.
We have one of your trackers for Hal.
Been in my workshop? You didn't touch any of my projects, did you?
No, I didn't touch any of your other stuff. And if we hadn't found this, you would probably still be stuck in that wall. The wasps would probably lay their eggs inside you.
Fair enough. If you would have mingled with some of my other projects, you might not be here yourself. Anyway, let's try to find the others. Lord knows what's happened to them. Wait, you hear that? Everybody make a perception check. Oh, Duke. Damn, Willow. Damn. Is it still loading for you, Barth?
Huh? What?
You gonna roll perception?
I can also only like hear I can also only I can also only hear like half the words you're saying because it fucking cuts out.
Ah, joy.
Perception check.
Yeah, it could be also RAM or processing issue on his machine, because Discord has nothing to do with this. So it's a combination of issues. One might be feeding into the other, though, which is what I suspect.
Oh, there we go.
So we're waiting for it to load up the roll here for him. Duke and Willow so far can hear what Gizmo was hearing, which above you can now hear the sounds of very angry buzzing. Almost as if the commotion here has maybe alerted the hive to your presence.
Well, he might be an ass who dumped me for my sister's money, but he's still my protege. Come on, let's go get him.
What? You think he... this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Gizmo's just giddy now. She's got that I know something you don't know look.
I nudge Gizmo.
So, DM to players, let me ask you all this question here. I know we normally stop at 5. However, there's still some more of this place to explore and deal with. Did you want to play on and finish this map up, or did you want to wait till next time to finish the map up?
I'm good with playing on.
I'm not gonna lie, the map is basically unplayable for me at the moment.
I'm fine with an hour or two, but we're probably going to have to do theater of mind for Barth.
Okay. And we just got to get his rolls in through the automation, so we can just click on his sheet for some of that.
I had to like completely
Sorry,
exit at roll 20 so that it would stop shitting itself.
No, it's all right. This is why we, testing it out, see what kind of things work and don't work here. So, but outside of that, using Theater of Mind for the rest of the map here, which there's not a ton, but there's, other little sections here. Is everybody else good with continuing then? As long as we do the theater of the mind.
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of frustrated about the whole thing. But I mean, I guess if everyone else wants to, I'm fine with it, I guess.
I'm fine with it, but I also kind of want to make food, as I did not really eat this morning. So would it just be finishing up the map and then going on to finishing up the session?
Pretty much.
Alright. I guess that'd be fine, yeah.
So, because we
Plus,
could do it
we
either
finish-
way. We could hold it off to finish off, next week, and then continue on from there, or, whatever. I just don't know what everybody's schedule is going to be, and I don't want to, have somebody stay here that can't stay here.
I mean, schedule-wise, I'm fine. I just don't really want to play anymore after that whole shit, the fucking thing. I don't really mind if you guys want to keep going, but that's just my opinion.
All right, so, I mean, did you want to stick around and listen then? It kind of have Barth kind of fade in the background like men here?
No, it's fine. I'll still play.
Well, if you're wanting to be here for the roundup of it, I am hungry as hell. I'm fine with waiting for next week if you're wanting to actually at least be on a bit more playable version of the map. Because it's just the dynamic lighting, right?
I mean, I would assume so.
Because I think when Don tried to do dynamic lighting back in when he was running the 14 one, we were having issues with it.
No, I didn't have any issues back then.
Yeah, this is the
Well,
updated.
they're good, that
They
degree.
released a new version of the dynamic lighting.
Yeah,
Mm.
because they're
yeah,
getting rid of the
okay.
old way of doing it. They have actually disabled some features that they used to have, which were like really good with it. They're no longer an option anymore.
Well, I'll take this point to remind people I won't be here next week. Which is fine if you want to go ahead and continue everything, but I need to be down a person.
Yeah, and Rick will be back next week too. So, but again, this is what we're just seeing. If y'all wanna wait, that's fine. If y'all wanna press on, that's fine. I just want to know, because we could stop here if needed. This is a good enough stopping point if we have to stop.
Fine either way.
All right. So I understand Barth's, Lauren's frustration with the stuff with that. I had my own frustrations this morning with that. I honestly would feel kind of bad if he had us stuck around and had to play or be forced to play something he would get no enjoyment out of.
Yeah,
It's one of
I
my-
feel bad about dragging him around too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
one of my big things
Yeah.
about playing with this. Is why I allow people to kind of switch out their characters, because if you don't enjoy them, I want you to play something you enjoy. So I guess with that, we'll just kind of we'll stop it here. See what happens between Gizmo and Willow going forward with that. We'll have Duke just kind of swap roles with men here, just kind of staying in the background as y'all wrap up here. And what I'll do, Lauren and everybody else, for this map, I'll tweak it. I'll put on some of the vision block, not the vision blocks, the fog of war stuff, which I think handles a little better because the old way I was doing it was the Fog of War stuff, and I don't think there was any performance issues from anybody with that. So I'll kill the lighting layers and just put the Fog of War on and just do it kind of like the old reveal-y way. So, and we'll kind of see how that goes. Otherwise, we can just do the Theater of the Mind for the rest of it if there's still an issue for whatever reason on your machine. So, but we will not continue with the map next week if you still have any kind of performance issues with that, because I do not want that ruining your experience again. So, we'll try it with the map first, and then we'll try it without afterwards. So, all right. Well, that's going to be it for today's session then. Man, kind of interesting. But I wish it could have went a little better for everybody. But got the U.S. holiday next weekend, which is part of the reason why Chris will not be with us. He's got family, and I know plans can change for other people, but the rest of us, as far as I know right now, should be playing. So we'll continuing the adventures next week. So, Chris, I'll talk to you about Duke if there's anything else you want to do, kind of like behind the scenes with him next week. But outside of that,
Yeah, all right.
that's.
I did want to have a short conversation with Gizmo.
Okay, we'll do a little side RP so we can get that kind of situated. So, but yeah, that's going to be it.
It's going to be kind of hard, though, after she gets thrown down the reactor shaft.